O'clock digital update. Sorry, we're a little bit late. We were getting some things in order. The vice president has just wrapped up a rally here in Savannah, speaking with Brian Kemp, who is running for governor here in Georgia, alongside some other elected officials in our areas, as well as U.S. Representative Buddy Carter. The vice president started his morning in Dalton with Brian Kemp, and then they went to an Augusta suburb of Grovetown. Then they came here to Savannah. They were a little bit late, maybe about 30 or 45 minutes, but they did get in there at about 7 o'clock, and the vice president spoke for a pretty lengthy period of time. Buddy Carter spoke just before him, and then Brian Kemp spoke as well. They all talked about the importance of getting out and voting, but also voting Republican given their party affiliations. Buddy Carter kicked things off, speaking first, and here's a little bit, very, very little bit of what he had to say.
If you look at the early voting, you see that it's through the roof. I mean, if you compare it to 4 years ago, the midterms, then we have far exceeded that. And I think it shows the enthusiasm and the interest in this race in particular.
The Georgia Republican Party and the Kemp campaign, we have been making hundreds of thousands of phone calls. We've been knocking on thousands and thousands of doors. The Georgia Republican Party at a grassroots level is incredibly engaged.
That last guy there is the state GOP chairman, so he was in town for this visit as well. Brian Kemp and the vice president, as I said, got there at about 7 o'clock. Brian Kemp spoke to a very loud crowd. A lot of the crowds today, they were very large and they were very loud in support of Brian Kemp and Mike Pence. Brian Kemp spoke a lot about the importance of finishing now, this being the fourth quarter of the election season. He is running in a very, very tight race with Stacey Abrams. Eyes across the nation have been watching this race. It's very historical in the sense that Stacey Abrams will become the first African-American woman governor in the United States if she were to win. Brian Kemp is running on this idea of continuing conservative politics here in Georgia. Governor Nathan Deal has served for 8 years before him. Sonny Perdue served for 8 years. So Georgia has had about 16 years with a Republican in the governor's office. Brian Kemp hopes to continue that. Of course, he spent the last 8 years as the Secretary of State. Here is just a small portion of Brian Kemp's speech today.
But as you all know, this race is a battle for the soul of our state. It is literally a fight for our future. And my opponent has run the most dishonest campaign that Georgians have ever seen.
Abrams denies that claim, obviously saying she's running a good, honest campaign. Today, she was actually campaigning with Oprah Winfrey in the metro Atlanta area, and then former President Barack Obama will be in town tomorrow. They'll be in Atlanta at Morehouse College hosting a Get Out the Vote rally. As you've noticed with the ads on television, this has been a very contentious race, a lot of attacking going on with both sides. This is a very tight race. The polls are showing them really neck and neck here. So the vice president came to town encouraging people to vote and then take a friend with them to vote as well. He said, friends don't let friends vote alone. So that was a big part of what he had to say. He's also using this, though, as a chance to campaign for 2020 and also campaigning for other Republicans running for Congress. It's been very difficult for Republicans or Democrats to hold control of the U.S. House and Senate in the first midterm of their presidency. So he's saying that he needs Republicans to get out and vote to maintain those majorities. As I said, he's campaigning, though, for 2020 as he spent a lot of his time talking about what he and the president have been able to accomplish. A little bit of that, though, was talking about some military spending that they've had here, which obviously rings for a lot of people here with our military bases here. Here's what he had to say about that.
I couldn't be more proud to serve alongside a president who signed the largest increase in our national defense since the days of Ronald Reagan. We're rebuilding our military. We're restoring the arsenal of democracy.
So he was very clear in his support. They want people to vote for Brian Kemp on November 6th. He's been behind Brian Kemp for several months now. The White House came out and supported Kemp over Casey Cagle there ahead of the Republican runoff. Actually, Nathan Deal, the current governor, had endorsed Cagle, so the White House kind of split there. And I talked about it earlier tonight on television, but it's very rare for the White House to weigh in on a race for Georgia's governor. It's not typically a race that has been so closely watched. It's one that normally goes under the radar, at least from the national perspective. So a lot of attention here. The vice president is now in town for the second time. He campaigned earlier this year for Kemp in Macon. President Trump will be in Macon on Sunday hosting a rally, a Make America Great rally for Brian Kemp on Sunday. And Stacey Abrams will actually be in the Savannah area on Monday. So they are really sprinting towards the finish line next Tuesday. Of course, millions of Americans nationwide have used early voting as an opportunity to vote, and that includes more than 1 million people here in Georgia. So they're really encouraging people that haven't made it to the polls early to wake up and vote on Tuesday. Tomorrow is the last day to vote early, so if you're interested in doing that, we've got all of the information for you on our website, the polling locations, as well as where you can go and when you can go. We'll have more tonight on The News at 11. This is also a look there at our website. You can see all the information you need to know, where you can vote, what time you can vote, how you can vote. We've got the information for Georgia and South Carolina. A quick note, we'll also be updating the races on election night. We'll have live updates as we get them. You see that little table there. That will show you the races as we get results into our newsroom. And we will have a lot of people working to get those numbers for you. So you can follow along right there as the races and the numbers start coming in Tuesday night at 7 o'clock when polls close. That about does it for this update. We'll have another news update at 10. We'll also have a weather update at 9 o'clock. Tonight on the news at 11, myself and Danielle will kind of recap this rally. I'll talk about what Pence had to say and what Brian Kemp had to say, and then how they're using this as a chance to really rile up that Republican base. Dawn Baker also had an interview with Stacey Abrams that she ran tonight. That is on our website. We'll also have a little bit of that for you tonight on the news at 11. So I hope you join us for that. As always, you can always tune in online. You can catch the latest on all of our digital platforms. But thanks for watching. We'll see you tonight.